Lewis Hamilton is demanding a crucial sit-down with Ferrari following the British Grand Prix, where he'll raise some pointed concerns about the car's current performance. The seven-time world champion, who holds the record as the most successful driver at Silverstone, faced a tough outing in Sunday's tricky, ever-changing conditions. On a day marked by changing weather and multiple safety cars, Hamilton's race unraveled due to a combination of misjudged calls from the pit wall and a car that simply wouldn't behave. A victory for Lewis Hamilton at the 2025 British Grand Prix, his first true Grand Prix win with the iconic Scuderia Ferrari, would have been the stuff of motorsport legend. Instead, the fairy tale ending gave way to a reality check, as Hamilton issued a blunt warning to his new team after the race that elements of the SF25 car cannot go into the following year. That's a shocking statement, especially when you consider that his fourth-place finish was among his strongest results of the 2025 season. Given the chaos on track, Hamilton's performance was nothing short of tenacious. After starting fifth, he jumped to fourth thanks to George Russell's pre-race pit stop and went wheel-to-wheel with Lando Norris for a shot at the podium. But the McLaren had too much pace and Hamilton had to settle into survival mode. But for a moment, it looked like a classic Hamilton comeback was on the cards. He closed in on Nico Hülkenberg in the closing laps, eyeing a podium finish but couldn't quite find a way past the podium-finishing stake driver, ultimately crossing the line in fourth. Before that, Hamilton had a heart-stopping moment as he rejoined the track from the pit lane, struggling for grip and control in the slippery conditions. Plenty of drivers would have been thrilled with that finish. After all, it ties his best result with Ferrari in a full-length Grand Prix. But for a man who's owned Silverstone more than anyone in history, fourth wasn't enough. Now well into his first season in Ferrari Red, the 40-year-old isn't staying quiet about what he wants to see improved in next year's Challenger. Speaking to the media, Hamilton said, "I just struggled to keep up. The tyres dropped off massively. The car was unbelievably tricky to drive. I think ultimately, I learned a lot today. There's a lot to take from the day. It's only my second time driving in the wet in this car. I can't even express to you how hard it is. It's not a car that likes those conditions. Having lots of data to take on this, for me, I'll sit down with the people who design in the car for next year because there are elements of this car that can't go into the following year." It was not the result I was hoping for, Hamilton added. "I got some points still. This is the most difficult car I've driven here in these conditions." Hamilton was heated after seeing his long-standing Silverstone podium streak come to an end on Sunday. Apart from car issues, the seven-time world champion also voiced his frustration over both Ferrari's strategy decisions and the unpredictable handling of his SF25, describing the car as snappy and admitting he had little confidence behind the wheel. "The car was really hard to drive," he complained. "It just has no stability, so you go to corner and it's snapping. It just won't stay still, and that makes it so difficult. And in the low speed, it doesn't like to turn. It's a really frustrating balance. It's the worst feeling. When it's constantly snapping, you just have no confidence. The ultimate goal is to try and build up confidence in the car and get faster and faster over time. It's like building a wall and then knocking it down. When you can't build that confidence, you're not really going anywhere. You're kind of in no man's land. That's how I felt for most of the race." Hamilton's already difficult afternoon was made worse by a string of strategy missteps that cost him valuable track position. When the rain hit after 11 laps, his first pit stop dropped him from a promising fourth place to eighth. He eventually cleared Gasly on lap 29 and then Lance Stroll on lap 35, setting the stage for what many in the crowd hoped would be a charge toward a podium finish. But just as momentum was building, Ferrari called him in too early for slick tyres. The timing proved costly. Hamilton lost around 5 seconds navigating the damp opening corners after his stop, while Nico Hülkenberg, still on intermediates, capitalized, extending his gap before switching to slicks a lap later. That crucial sequence denied Hamilton what would have been his 13th career podium at Silverstone. "We lost time and a lot of places through strategy," Hamilton added. I'm not really sure how I was P4 and came out P8. That made life very difficult. I got stuck behind 3 cars for a long time. Then I stopped early in the hope of a big undercut, and geez, it was so tricky. This car does not like these conditions at all. A big snap, and I went wide in turn 3, and it lost me a ton of time. There was lots of mistakes. It was not a good day. By missing out on the podium at Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton has now gone 14 Grands Prix without a top 3 finish. His longest podium drought in a glittering career. His last podium came back in 2024, with a second-place finish at the Las Vegas Grand Prix for Mercedes. Adding to the disappointment, Hamilton also surrendered one of his most impressive records. His fourth-place result ended an incredible streak of 11 consecutive podiums at Silverstone. Looking back on the race, Hamilton pointed to one key issue: balance. Without it, the performance just isn't there. When asked what single thing he needed from the Ferrari to unlock the car's potential, he answered, "I just need a consistent balance. When the car turns into low speed, I just need a more stable car, but we were looking great through this weekend." In practice, we were always up there, but were not fully able to extract everything in qualifying, and then the race is a bit harder, so that is where I wanted to get stronger. It got a little easier when it was fully dry, as we had more grip, but even then you saw I went wide and it snapped and I nearly spun at turn 11, Beckett's many times. So there were a lot of mistakes. And if you thought the problem stopped there, listen to this. Ferrari were literally flying blind during the British Grand Prix after losing GPS tracking on Lewis Hamilton's car. Team principal Fred Vasseur revealed to media that a transponder issue left the team unable to pinpoint Hamilton's position on the track. Speaking on the timing of Hamilton's second pit stop, the Frenchman said, "You can say now that it was probably 1 lap too early because he went straight in turn 3-4 and he lost 4 or 5 seconds in these 2 corners. But Fernando Alonso pitted before and he was already faster in some corners than all the guys on intermediates." It's the kind of situation that if you wait, the others do it before you, and it's always too late. And I think it's quite easy to say, after the race, first pit stop would have been better 1 lap before, second pit stop 1 lap later. But honestly on this, when you have to take the decision on the pit wall, it's always a tricky one, because you always have to anticipate. On top of that, we lost the GPS of Lewis the whole race, and that meant we were completely blind and we didn't know where the car was. It was a difficult one. How long do you think can one of the sport's greatest talents afford to wait for a car that matches his ambition? Let's start a conversation in the comment section down below. And if you haven't, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated with the latest rumblings in Formula One.